Hello, thanks for joining this short information webinar on the CAS program in technology and public policy. We will go rather quickly through this presentation, but if you want to look at slides in detail, you can easily just pause the video or you can download and look at the slides we have also put on the internet. My name is Thomas Bernauer. I'm the program director and director of the ISDP. I'm a political scientist by training, but do a lot of public policy and technology research.
Hi, everyone. I'm Toby Schmidt. I'm the deputy program director, and I'm a professor of energy politics. I'm formerly trained as an engineer, but then turned public policy scholar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicholas Solenthaler. I'm the TPP's program manager, and I'm your first point of contact. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate reaching out to me.
Okay, let's quickly move through a couple of points that you see here on the agenda: aims and scope of the program, the skill sets, the contents of the program, and what you can learn from participating in this program. First of all, on the aims, we have a lot of big challenges facing humanity. Science and engineering play a key role in finding solutions, in diagnosing problems, but in also finding appropriate policy interventions that address these issues. And we strongly believe that students who have an engineering or science background and can augment their skills with training in public policy analysis will greatly benefit from these additions, and also their employers can very well benefit from it.
So what is public policy and what is public policy analysis? Public policy refers to the measures adopted by government or collected actors. And what we do in public policy analysis is we look at this entire chain from the politics, which is also called the input into the policy process, and the output, which are the actual policies, so the laws, the regulation, mandates, and so on, and how they actually affect technology and society. So that's the policy outcome. And with this program, of course, we focus on policy outcomes that have to do with technology and science. Technology is more important in our society and in our economy. And what is really key is that we need to bridge societal needs with technological opportunity, and public policy is a means to do so. So policy design is really at the heart of bridging society, economy, and technology.
What kinds of questions does this skill set or toolbox for public policy allow you to address? Here just a few examples on this slide. I'll read one or two and you can look at them on your own. One is, for example, with autonomous vehicles, which are entering markets in the public and private transport system. What kinds of policies do we need to mitigate risks, but also create opportunities for using autonomous vehicles in society? Or when you go to carbon taxation, one of the key policy instruments for combating climate change, how can such carbon tax systems be designed not only to be effective in terms of reducing emissions, but also in terms of being politically feasible, because by and large citizens are skeptical about this policy instrument. So what kinds of skills would you learn or will you learn in this CAS program? As Toby Schmidt already mentioned, they're organized along these three pillars of the policy process: politics, the policy output, and its impacts on society and technology. We will be looking at policy design, as you can see in the middle, policy options and their feasibility, and also studying the potential and actual effects of policies in terms of their effects on society, but also in terms of their effects on technology and the economy. In other words, the graduates of this program will be able to systematically and effectively analyze how public institutions function, operate, and how policy choices are made within those institutions. They will be able to manage policymaking processes and communicate with the policy makers, stakeholders, and the public. They will be able to design solutions and figure out systematically ex ante, before implementation, what the efficiency and effectiveness gains are of using certain policy instruments, but then they will also be able to evaluate after policy implementation how well policies have performed, which of course is indispensable for then going back and trying to improve the effectiveness, efficiency, but also the equity in terms of societal effects of policy interventions. What the didactic approach is that we use, we strongly believe that students should learn from three groups. They should learn from academics, like the two professors you see here in this video. They should also be able to learn from practitioners who usually take those skills and implement them in practice, in regulatory authorities or in consulting firms. But, and that's equally important to us, they should learn from each other, because if we have a very interesting group of students, we are absolutely sure that each student has some unique experiences and skills to bring to bear in this course, and that the other students can learn from this particular person. This is just a quick recap of that and expresses in some more nuances what we will do. The course will teach academic skills that are fundamental in public policy analysis, but it will have a very applied orientation, so that students should be able to go back where they currently work or where they wish to work in the future and really apply those skills on a daily basis. So there will be academic skills, there will be a lot of practical application exercises, case studies, also teaching units we do in collaboration with our partners in the professional world, for example, Swiss Re or Infras, a large Swiss consulting firm, and others. So we will have ETH professors teaching largely, we'll have practitioners, and we will of course have the students who will learn from each other.
So who is this program designed for, or in other words, should you take this or not? If you want to take this, you should definitely be working at the intersection of science, technology, and policy, or be interested in moving in this field. And this can be both in the private or public sector. So it can be, say, within governments or the administration or regulator at all levels. So it can be, for instance, if you work for a city, or if you want to work for a city or for a national government, for instance, or also for an international organization. If you're in the private sector, there's also more and more need to understand public policy, to understand regulation. So more and more companies have what they often call departments of regulatory affairs. So it's also interesting for that kind of career, or also civil society organizations and NGOs, where science and technology is really essential. In order to qualify for this program, we're seeking mostly engineers or natural science, or people with a natural science degree, typically a master's. This includes maths, architecture, life sciences, but also or people with a master's in another area, as long as they work in a field that's related to science and technology questions. What's definitely a must, but otherwise you probably wouldn't even watch this video, is that you should have a strong interest in public policy. And typically the people that take these CAS courses of advanced studies, they typically have a work experience of around 3 to 5 years or so.
So what's the structure of the program? As shown before, it's organized along these three blocks shown above: politics, the input, policy making, then the output in terms of the policy solutions or interventions that policymakers design, and then the impact on society. We've organized that in 2 CAS programs, each worth 15 ECTS credit points, or about 450 hours of investment on your part in total. So it's roughly 1 semester per CAS, where you would have to come in about 21 days, stretched over half a year to complete one of these CAS modules. By the way, you can take one or the other or both, so it's a very modular setup. What you cannot do is take only particular courses from one CAS module and particular courses from another CAS module, so you'd have to pick these modules in full, one or the other or both of them. Taking both will take about a year. Of course, part-time, about 21 days per CAS modules over the year. Then you could also do that even more part-time by stretching the two over more than 1 year. Here are some alternatives where we show the program structure in slightly different form. Here you see a rough outline of the key courses in each programs and how many days or ECTS programs they have. As you can see, this one focuses really on the policy process. This one on the right focuses on impact analysis. We also have some courses that are in a way transversal, that they provide skills that you can use for either the input or the policy output and impact analysis part. And as you can see, we have workshops with practitioners in both, and we have practical skills like negotiation, political communication, or writing for policymakers. Here's the schedule in a 1-year mode. We will always offer the first CAS, the policy process CAS, in the spring semester, and the other one in the autumn, fall semester. You can look at this also in a 2-year cycle, because you may want to take two, but you may want to take the first one, then pause for a little bit, and then take the second. So we will certainly be offering these two CAS programs over several years. This is already some of the dates which we had to fix, because you will see on our webpage that we've lined up a very impressive range of faculty members and practitioners to teach in our program, and those are extremely busy people, and we were able to line them up successfully already now, because we are organizing this way ahead. Also, of course, in view that you as a practitioner will be able to arrange things with your employer so that you can find the appropriate amount of time to complete this program.
So the Institute of Science, Technology and Policy that's offering the TPP really provides a great learning environment. This program will bring together people with different disciplinary backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds from around the world. ETH is one of the most global universities in the world. We have our own building at the top, at the bottom left. You actually see that the lounge that we have in that building. So that's also very conducive to a great learning experience, which is very interactive. Then, if you're not convinced yet, here's a list of points why you might want to pursue this program. It's in one of the top universities of the world. It's a technical university, but it also has a very strong social science faculty with 2 departments with about 50 professors or so working in the social sciences. It's really useful for all those people that actually work at this interface, science, technology, policy, but that do not have a formal training in policy analysis. And that is very often the case in Europe, particularly because we don't have a lot of public policy schools in Europe. This is one of the first programs in Europe, but it's also one of the very few programs in the world that actually offers a policy analysis class or policy analysis certificate at the interface with technology. And yeah, some more reasons is that it's a highly modular program. It's very flexible. As Thomas mentioned before, you can actually decide whether you want to do it in 1 year or 2 years. And what's really also unique is that it's a very small number of students, not too many, but very intense. So it's like a little classroom where we can really discuss a lot with each other and learn from each other. And finally, it's in the city center. You can see that in my background, right next to the main building of ETH.
And we, of course, hope that we will be able to start the first cohort in this CAS program on the policy input on site right now. As you probably know, almost all universities in other countries too, and in Switzerland, are primarily in a home office mode. But we hope that by about January or February next year, we will be back in normal operation, and I think the odds are fairly high that we will be able to do this program on site rather than online, because for small groups of students, it's always easier to organize a teaching program, given the restrictive rules on social distancing, etc., that we have. So we are pretty confident that we'll be able to start this program in January 21 on site rather than online. Here's a few notes on the application fees. This is pretty much ETH standard. It's in a way not a full cost calculation because we're a public university. I can assure you that an MBA program somewhere else will be much more expensive. If you're interested, you should apply soon. We have applications coming in on a rolling basis. We don't have a very hard first come, first serve rule, but once we have a sufficient number of interesting students lined up, we will probably close the application process because we want to keep the group to about 15 students, perhaps 20, but certainly not larger than that, because as I noted before, the program is really about learning from professors, learning from practitioners, but also learning from peers, and this learning from peers element and the practical application, etc., is probably much better or works much better if we do this in a very small group. This is the webpage where you can get further information. You can either wind back on this recording and look at the slides there. When you pause on a particular slide, you can download the slides. There is plenty of information on our website. Especially also, I encourage you to look at the faculty members and practitioners we have lined up for our teaching, because those are the faces you would see in this program. Those are the people whom you would learn from. Of course, your fellow students, we cannot show them to you already because they are still applying and they remain to be selected by us. So thank you very much for joining this short webinar.